We discussed the median for ungrouped data, and today we're going to discuss how to calculate the median for grouped data. And here we have the formula to calculate the median when we have classes along with the frequency, and this formula median is equal to L plus H over F bracket n by 2 minus C. So in this formula, that seems to be complicated. L refers to the lower class boundary of the median class, and H refers to the size of the median class. F is the frequency of the class. F refers to the frequency of the median class, N total number of observation, and C refers to the cumulative frequency of the class that is preceding the median class. So here you have two new things. Lower class boundary of the median class, H is the size of the median class, F refers to the frequency of the median class, and C refers to the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class, and N total number of observations. So it's not difficult to do. So let's practice with an example. So at any time when you will be provided with a group data, they will give you classes along with the frequencies. And if you look here in the previous, what we need here is that in the first step, we need to decide about the median class. In order to decide the median class, we need to calculate the cumulative frequency. And cumulative frequency is the sum of frequency at one from the lower side. So when it comes to the cumulative frequency, the frequency of the first class is always equal to the cumulative frequency of the first class, because it's always start from one side. So there is nothing, there is zero that is behind the first class. So that will remain as it is. So it will remain as it is 5. When it comes to the second class, cumulative frequency of a class is frequency from one side. So previously we have 5, and now we need to add 5 with 8. So the cumulative frequency of the second class will be equal to 13. And then same applies with the cumulative frequency when we need to calculate the cumulative frequency of our third class. That will be 13 plus 14, that will be equal to 27. And then for the fifth class, it will be 33. 27 plus 6 is equal to 33. And the last class will be 35. That's the first thing you need to know, need to do when you are calculating the median. When you want to know the center through median and you are provided with the group data, is to calculate the cumulative frequency. So once you have calculated the cumulative frequency, very simple, just count the frequency from one end. So for first, it will be 5. For second, it will be 8 plus 5, that will be equal to 13. For third, it will be 14 plus 8 plus 5, that will be equal to 14 plus 8, 22, 22 plus 5, that will be equal to 27. Or you can just add cumulative frequency of the previous class with the frequency of that specific class. These are two ways you can proceed, and there will be no error in that. And when you look here, when it comes to the cumulative frequency, you just need to 6 plus 14, that will be 20, 20 plus 8, 28, and plus 5, that will be equal to 33, or 27 or 6, that will also mean the same. So if that will be the cumulative frequency of last class, that will be 6 plus 2 is 8, 8 plus 14 is 22, 22 plus 8, 30, 30 plus 5, that will be equal to 35. And you just need to remember two main points from my previous lecture, that the cumulative frequency of the first class is always equal to, that's the verification, is always equal to the frequency of that class. And the cumulative frequency of your last class is equal to your total number of observations. So if you look here, how many total number, what's your n? N is equal to 35. And if you look at the cumulative frequency of your last class, that is also equal to the 35. So once you have calculated the cumulative frequencies, in the next step, what you need to do, that you have to decide in the entire formula. If you look in previous, it's all about the lower class boundary of the median class, class size of the median class, frequency of the median class, and then cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class. So this entire story is all about the median class. So once you have calculated the cumulative frequency, now you need to decide about which is your median class. And once you are going to decide the median class, the story will become very, very much simple. Today I am once again failed with my writing. So next step, you have to decide about the median class. How we decide the median class, it's very, very simple. We use a very simple formula. That median splits the data set into two equal halves. So we will going to, what we need to do, that we will going to split the data set into two equal halves. How we split the data set into two equal halves is by n by 2. So what value of n? N is the sum of all observations. So n is 35, and in the next, and now you need to divide the n by 2. That will be equal to 17.5. So in order to decide the median class, you just need to split the data observations into two equal halves. So in order, how you split it, you just divide the total number of observations by 2. And now you, at the end, you get a value of 17.5. From this 17.5, now you will going to decide that which will be your median class. Is 17.5 is a member of your first. Now you need to look for the cumulative frequencies, that from in which class this 17.5 belongs. So you need to check the cumulative frequencies. So what do you think? That is 17.5 is the member when we consider the cumulative frequency of the first class? No, it's not 5. So first class cannot be your median class. Second class 17.5 is not member of your second class. So which is your median class? If you look here, look into the cumulative frequencies, this is 27. And in 27, 17.5 is being accommodated. So on the basis of cumulative frequency, just looking at the cumulative frequency, we decide about the median class. So as our value was 17.5, so where, in which cumulative frequency this 17.5 stays? So this 17.5 stays in my third class. So from here, now it's being decided that this is your median class. This class stays in the center. So this is your median class. So once you decide the median class, now things become very, very simple. That you already know the formula of median, how we calculate the median. In order to calculate the median, we need L. L refers to the lower class. So as I have the classes, I need to have another column that refers to the as class. So this will be my, and I'm writing the abbreviation CB because I'm not good in writing with this. So this will be. So these are the class boundaries. So what will be the class boundary of my first? You know that how we can develop the, make the class boundaries. We can decide about the class boundaries. So that will be 40.5. And my upper class boundary of the first class will be 50.5. And then for the second class, you have lower class boundary that will be 50.5. And this is what, when we were discussing the group data, 50.5, and my upper class boundary will be 60.5. And then my third class, that is my median class, the lower class boundary will be 60.5. And my upper class boundary will be 70.5. In this way, you can have the class boundaries of other two classes. I'm not going there because this will be just waste of time. So now what I need, but when you will going to do all those things, when you'll have the class boundaries, please try to make class boundaries for everything. This second, do not leave them. So I'm not good with this mouse, so that's why I'm just keeping these two in order to save some time. So this will be, what will be the lower class boundary of my median class? That is 60.5. So what else I need in the formula? If you look here, I need the size of the median class. And as I kept the size uniform, so you can just look for the size by just subtracting the upper class boundary with the lower class boundary. So if you subtract 70.5 minus 60.5, if you will going to subtract the 60.5 from 70.5, you will going to get the size of your median class. So that will be equal to the 10. So that 10 is the width of median class. And this is how we calculate the size of a median class, H. So in order to calculate the H, what you need to do, please do not do it with classes. Rather go with the class boundaries, because they just specify what's the boundary of the class. So just subtract the upper and lower class boundary from the upper class boundary, and you will going to get the value of H. That is the size of median class. So in the formula, I was required to have the lower class boundary of the median class. I was required to have H. That was the size of median class, and the size of median class is in this data set is 10. What else I need? Third, I need the frequency corresponding to the median class. That means the frequency of the median class. A simple way to say what is the frequency of the median class. In this data set, the frequency of the median class is 14. So F refers to the 14. If you look back, what else I need? N. N refers to the total number of observations. Sum of frequencies is always equal to total number of observations. You already know that your N is equal to 35, and even you are, we have already calculated N by 2, that is in the formula, that is equal to 17.5. And this is where I'm going to put a stress. Just read the last line carefully. Cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class. That means the class that comes before the median class. That's not the cumulative frequency of the median class. It's the cumulative frequency of the class that is preceding the median class. That is coming before the median class. So if you look here, I have calculated the cumulative frequency. So what will be the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class? So this second class is the class that is preceding the median class. So here I have the cumulative frequency. In this data set, I have a value of C that is equal to 13. So the cumulative frequency of the median class is 27, but we do not need the cumulative frequency of the median class. We need cumulative frequency of the class that is preceding the median class, and that value is 13. So if you look at this formula, now you have the value of L, you have value of H, you have F, you know N, N by 2, and see, now it becomes a very simple calculation. So what's the value of lower class boundary? Lower class, what we have identified, it was 16.5, lower class boundary of the median. If you look here, it's already known, 60.5. And now what else I need? Plus, what is H? H refers to the width of the median class. So H is my 10. What else I need? F. F refers to the frequency of the median class. And what's the F? Frequency of the median class is 14. And you can see from here as well. So H by that is equal to 40. And now I have these parentheses. N refers to the 35 divided by 2 minus n by 2, n, as you already know, n is equal to 35. And then you just need to divide it by 2. C is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class, the class that comes before the median class. That's why I'm repeating again and again. So my value here is 13. And what you need now, you need nothing else but do simple calculations. You know from your previous background of all those calculations that, okay, we need to solve the bracket. So it will be 17.5. Went wrong. Consider this is 17. Accept my apologies. 17.5 minus 13, and then I have the entire formula, entire values. I just back them with all those entire values. It will not make any difference. 60.5 plus 10 by 14. So if you subtract the 13 from 17.5, what you are going to get? That will be equal to 4.5. So I'm just moving here. So it will be 4.5. So this, if I will going to solve everything that is within the bracket, I will get a value of 4.5. And that 4.5 is in the bracket. And then I have 10 by 14, as you are all biologists. So I'm just, and then I need to add something at the end, 60.5. So rule, first you need to divide, solve the bracket. After the bracket, you need to divide, and then you need to multiply. So if you will going to divide 10 by 14, what you will going to get? If you are going to divide, so if you will going to divide 10 by 14, that will be equal to 0.714. So that one will be 0.714. And then I need to multiply it with 4.5. Consider this as 4. So if you will going to multiply 0.71 with 0.71 with 4.5, you will get a value of that will be equal to 3.195. Please verify my calculations. I think 3.195. 3.195. This is the solution, and on other side, what I need at the last I just need to add with 60.5. And in the last you just need to add them, so that will be equal to 63.1 6, 9, and this 6, 9, 5. That will be your median. What I have seen previously, why I just did all those calculations one by one in front of you, that what I have seen that mostly biologists, when it comes to the exams, you just add things before you actually divide something by it. So do not make that mistake. So just follow the basic rules of mathematics. First, solve everything that is in the bracket. Once the bracket got solved, you will get some value. And then in the next step, you just need to divide it. Once you divide something, you will get a value. At this stage, this is the most critical stage when you have a value like this. And where the student make the mistake in the exam is that instead of multiplying first, what they used to do, that they just add 60.5 with 0.715 and then they multiply it and they get a wrong value. So please careful. First, when you have a situation like this, you need to multiply first and later on you can add that stuff. Because rule division, multiplication, addition, and at the last you can subtract. So do you have any question regarding the median for group data? Is it clear? Just feel comfortable and ask if you have any question. And then I will going to present you with the situation. What's possible here that if I will switch back to my previous data set, an example we use for the group data when we were calculating the median in case of when we were calculating the mean for the group data, and if you look here, if you just look at the cumulative frequency. No, that's I am required to generate a new one. The blank page. Let me add a slide. That's another place where the student they find it difficult. It's possible that you can get a data like this when you have the classes and then you have the frequencies. So what happens that, for example, my class is like this. I just make classes like 6 to 10. And then I have 7 to 15 and a class. And then I have 16 to 20. And now I'm going to write down the frequencies. Let's suppose my first frequency is 25. The frequency of my second class is 6, and the frequency of third class is 3. So if I will going to, in order to find the median class, if I will going to divide n by 2, my n here will be 25 plus 6, 31, 31 plus 3, 34, 34, and if I will going to do it n by 2, so my median class will be 34 divided by 2, and that gives the calculation of 70. So I need to look for the cumulative frequency. So to check which is my median class. So cumulative frequency, here you have 25. And then this will be 31. And this will be 34. So if you look 17 in order to decide about the median class, here you have 25. And 25 accommodates the 17. So this will be your median class. And if you go with the formula, you will not have any problem regarding the L. L will be the lower class boundary of the median class. You will not have any problem regarding what is the size of your median class. You will not have any problem there. What's the frequency of the median class? You will not have any problem. What's the in total number of observation? You will not have any problem. What will be the 2? But where you will be confused that what will be the cumulative frequency of the class that is preceding the median class. as you do not have any class that is preceding the median class, because now your first class is your median class. So in that case, when you do not have any class that is preceding the median class, in that case, your cumulative frequency will be equal to 0. And why? Because there is no class behind the median class. And as there is no class behind the median class, the cumulative frequency will be 0. And once you are going to put the value of 0, now you can solve this. And this is one situation that is possible, that when you are going to do some practice with some examples, you will come across this. And that concludes my discussion on median for the group data. Do you have any question regarding this? So now you know what are the advantages of the median. Now you know what are the disadvantages of the median. Now you know how to calculate the median for group data. Now you know how to calculate the median for ungrouped data. And that's complete my discussion on median. I will wait for 30 seconds and then I will going to continue with the second section of my lecture. If you have any questions, just feel free and ask. If you have some issues with the mic, you can just write in the section of chat so that I can check if you have any question. Just feel free to, if you have any question.
Sir, when is this lecture going to get uploaded? Because I missed it from the beginning.
Okay, hopefully it will be uploaded soon, because coordinator is uploading all those lectures. So you can consult him.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Do you have any other question? Just feel comfortable. So now we're going to move to the next section. That is about the mode. So from our previous discussion, you have realized that the arithmetic mean has its own advantages and it's suitable for certain kind of data set, and it has certain limitations. Secondly, the median is another tool to find out the center. But the median itself has its own advantages and limitations. The third frequently used tool to find out the center is the mode. And how we define the mode is the value that is most frequently repeated in any data set. So what's the concept of having a mode as a center? The logic behind having a mode, considering the mode as a center is that most of the observations, they are either in the center or very close to the center. And as we move away from the center, we have less and less values, less and less observations. I will going to demonstrate this by using, for example, if the average or the center of your class score is about 68 or 69%. So what will going to happen, that what you will going to see that majority of the marks very close, either at 66 or 67 or very close to 66 or 67. Maybe 64, maybe 69, 70, 72 if you have center at 67 or 68. But if you will go away from the center, that was at 88. If your average, if your center is at 67, at 88, maybe you will going to see only 1 or 2 values. And same is also applies to the lower side of the data set. That if you go at 50 or 51 or 52, you will going to see very, very few observations there. But majority of the observation, they are either on the center or very close to the center. And as you move away from the center, you will have less and less observation. So by considering this, people, they come up with another way to find out the center. They said, okay, as we know that most of the values, they are either on the center or very close to the center. So the center will be the center of any data set will be the value that is the most frequently repeated in any data set. So advantage of the mode is that it's not being affected by the outliers, because it do not consider, it do not take into the account, it do not quantifies the extreme values both on the upper side or lower side. But so for example, if you look here in this data set, we're going to solve a couple of examples and then I will going to demonstrate further. So for example, if I have a data set like this 5, 5, 8, 9, and 3, you just need to look here that which observation comes the most. So if you look here, 5 comes 2 times in this data set, while every other observation is only 1 time. So I will going to consider the mode also. So from this, I will going to declare that 5 is the mode, and 5 is, this is one way we can find the center. If you look at this data set here, 9 is being repeated 2 times, 8 is being repeated 2 times, and then we have 1 time. So that's the bimodal class. In this case, we have 2 mode, one is 8 and one is 9, and that's the limitation. Because it's possible that you may have 2 different values that accommodate equal number of observations. And maybe it's possible trimodal, tetramodal. It's possible that you may have in a larger data set 5, 6, 7 modes. In that case, mode is not a suitable option. And there is a possibility that maybe in your entire data set you do not have any mode, because every observation is repeated only once. So what's the definition of mode? Mode is the value that is most frequently repeated in any data set. And the logic behind it, that most of the values, they are either on the center or very close to the center. And that is considered as one tool. Advantage, not affected by the outliers. Limitation, that is possible that in any data set, maybe you do not have any mode at all. Maybe it's possible that it's a bimodal, it's a trimodal, it's a tetramodal, it's a pentamodal. There are all possibilities with this. So in all those other situations, the mode is not suitable tool to find out the center. So it fails. Do you have any question regarding this? Very, very simple. We do not need any formula. You just need to look at it and count which observation comes maximum in any data set. If only one observation is coming, it's a unimodal class. If 2 observations, they are equal, bimodal. But bimodal, in case you cannot decide what is the center. So in case your mode fail with that data set. Do you have any question regarding this? That's it. In case of group data, we can also find the mode for the group data. In group data, we have the classes along with the frequencies. So the formula to calculate the mode is L plus FM. FM refers to L is the lower class boundary of the model class. FM refers to the frequency of the model class. So it's L refers to the lower class boundary of the model class. Mode is being normally represented by hat on X, and that's the symbol we represent, X hat. So L refers to the lower class boundary of the model class. And FM refers to the frequency of the model class. F1 refers to the frequency of the class that is preceding the model class. Mean the frequency of the class that is coming before the model class. Accept my apology for really good handwriting. I'm not good. So once again, that is being divided by FM refers to the frequency of the model class. F1 refers to the frequency of the class that is coming before the model class or the class that is preceding the model class. FM refers to the frequency of model class. Again, F2 refers to the frequency of the class that is following the model class, or the class that is coming after the model class. So following it, that is coming after the model class. And H is the size of model class, or the width of model class. So L plus Fm minus F1 divided by bracket Fm minus F1 plus, once again, you have bracket Fm minus F2 into H. And if you look here, you know L refers to the lower class boundary of the model class, Fm refers to the frequency of the model class, and it comes 3 times in this formula. F1 refers to the frequency of the class preceding the model class, and F2 refers to the frequency of the class following the model class, and H refers to the width of model class. So what we need to do is that if you have any data set which includes the classes along with the frequencies, so I just need to copy this to a blank sheet so that it will just give me 1 minute. So if this is a data set, that's a data that includes the classes along with the frequencies. So that you need to decide about the model class, and it's a very simple way to decide about the model class. The class which contains maximum frequency will be model class. You do not need to calculate any cumulative frequency. So in order to calculate the mode in case of group data, you just need to look here for the frequencies. The class which contains the maximum frequency will be the model class. So it will 5, 8, 14, 6, and 2. From the class which contains the maximum frequency will be this one. And the idea is that where it has maximum number of observations, there is a maximum possibility that a value will be repeated. So this will be your model class. You decide the model class on the basis of frequencies. The class which contains the maximum frequency will be your model class. So this is my model class. I'm using abbreviations, self-synthesized or self-structured abbreviations, which you will not going to find anywhere else to do with this mouse trick. So that's the model class. So once you decide the model class, things will become very lower class boundary. You know how to do with class boundaries. I'm just CB, and I will not going to do anything else. I will going to write down the class boundary that is 60.5. And in your when you will be required to solve questions, you have to complete that. I'm using the mouse, so that's why I'm not wasting any time. So L refers to the lower class boundary of the model class. So that will be replaced by 60.5. And then in the formula, you have plus, and then you have FM. FM refers to the frequency of model class. So when I will going to replace that value, so FM frequency of the model class is 14. And in the formula, you have FM minus F1. Frequency of the class that is preceding the model class. So here my model class is 14. So the frequency of the class that is preceding the model class will be the 8. So now I will going to put it in the formula 14 minus 8. And then here that is failed to erase. So that must be divided by FM minus F1. So that will remain as put up 14 minus 8. Then I have a symbol of summation, that is sum. And then here I have in the bracket F. So this is Fm minus F2. And once again, I will going to close this bracket. So F2 is, so my frequency of the model class will remain as it is. It will be 14 minus F2 refers to the frequency of the class. This F2 is refers to the frequency of the class that is following the model class. So this is the class that is coming after model class, and this refers to the frequency of the class that is coming after the model class. So I have to use the word 6, and then I have to multiply it with h. H refers to the width of model class. So width is calculated by just subtracting the higher class boundary, subtracting the lower class boundary from higher class boundary. So 70.5 minus 60.5, that will be equal to 10. So if you look here in my, so now I know Fm is 14, F1 is 8, L 60.5, Fm 14. This F1 is 8, Fm 14. That is following. Here in this case, following is 6. And then I have width of the model class, that is equal to 10. Now you just need to solve it. So 60.5 will remain as it is. I'm just bringing this thing to here. So 60.5 will remain as it is. And then on the top section, I have 14 minus 8. So that will be equal to 6. 6 divided by 14 minus 8, that will be equal to, as they are in the bracket, so I have to subtract them first. So that will be equal to 6. And bracket around it plus 14 minus 6 is equal to 8. Whether you put bracket around it or not will not make any difference, but this is to tell you that you first you need to solve the brackets, and then you need to multiply it with 10. These are basic mathematics rules. So what you need to do now, that it will be 60.5 plus 6 divided by 14 multiply by 10. And then you have 60.5 plus, either you need to solve this one, 6 divided by 14. So if you move to the calculators, the first thing you need to divide first. So 6 divided by 14, that will be equal to 0.43. So please verify my calculations if I am wrong. So that will be equal to 0.43. But please repeat if you have any. 0.43. I just rounded. It was 0.428, so I just considered 0.43. I do not have any calculator with me right now. That's why I'm using my another calculator. So that's why I have to switch again and again. So that's the multiplication. I'm poor with most writing skills, so that's why an additional minus was added. So this is nothing. That's entire stuff is nothing. So 10 multiplied by 0.43, so that will be equal to 60.5 plus 4.3. That will be equal to 4.3 is that once you multiply 0.43 with 10, you will get a value of 4.3. So 0.43 multiplied by 10, you just need to multiply first. So that will be equal to 4.3. So 60.5 plus 4.3, that will be equal to 64.8. And that will be your mode. So 64.8 is your mode for this group data. Advantage, easy to calculate. Advantage, not affected by the outliers. Limitation, the biggest limitation is that like median, you cannot use the mode in inferential statistics. That's the first thing. Secondly, it's possible that in any data set you do not have any mode. Maybe it's possible that it's a bimodal. Maybe it's possible it's a trimodal, and maybe you have many modes in case of very large data set. In those cases, the mode is not suitable to find out the center. Do you have any question regarding this? Just feel free and ask. Is it clear? Is everything clear? Is there any distortion in my voice?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And roll number 50 asked me, sir, how to calculate the cumulative frequency. Okay, let me finish with the mode and then I will going to explain. Do you have any question regarding mode? Just feel free and ask. Accept my apologies. My internet was disconnected, so I have to connect it again. That's why I left the meeting and now I'm rejoining. So roll number 50. Please verify me that PowerPoint slides are visible on your screen. Roll number 50. Are they visible on PPT is visible on your screen? Please confirm me. Roll number 50. PowerPoint is visible on your screen.
Sir, I'm not roll number 50, but PPT is not visible.
Is it visible now?
Yes, sir, it's visible now.
So she asked me a question, that's why I called her name, that how to calculate the cumulative frequency. In order cumulative frequency, we define the cumulative frequency is the frequency from one end of any data set. So normally it's always a lower end. So it's the frequency, sum of frequency from the lower end. So when we need to calculate the cumulative frequency, we need to add frequencies from one side. So for first class, it will remain as it is, 5, because there is nothing behind that first class. In case of second class, you just need to add all those frequencies that are preceding that specific class. So either you use this one, previous cumulative frequency, or you just add every other previous frequencies. So these are two available options for you. So it will be equal to 30. Secondly, for the third class, in order to calculate the cumulative frequency, it must need to start from. So either please mute your mic. Come on, unmute it. If you have any questions, just you can ask. Otherwise, please mute your mic. It's a humble request, please. Thank you. If you have any questions, just feel free to ask. Otherwise, just mute your mic. So if you look here, in order to calculate the cumulative frequency, I just added 8 plus 5. That is equal to either to use this value, previous. That's the easiest way to do it. Use the cumulative frequency of the previous class and then add to the frequency of that class, and that will be equal to 27. 14 plus 13, that will be equal to 27. Another way to do it, that 8 plus 5 plus 14, that is also equal to 27. 6 plus 14 plus 8 plus 5, that will be equal to 33. Or directly use 27 plus 6, that will be equal to 33. And then 33 plus 2 is equal to 35, or otherwise you can use 6 plus 2, 8, 8 plus 14, 22, 22 plus 8, 30, 30 plus 5, 35. So it's the frequency from one end, from the lower end. It's the sum of frequencies from the lower end to a specific point. So the first class, lower end, first class, frequency of the first class will remain as it is. The cumulative frequency of the first class is equal to the frequency of the same class. The cumulative frequency of the last class is equal to total number of observations. Is it clear? Roll number 50. Is it clear? Why mode cannot be used in inferential statistics? So this was a question from roll number 23. In order to use any tool of descriptive statistics in inferential statistics, it must need to quantify each and every observation. Like the arithmetic mean, it quantifies each and every observation. So every observation has its own weightage. That's the rule to be considered for. That is the rule to be considered for inferential statistics. So 7 will have its own weightage, 8 will have its own weightage, 2 will have its own weightage. When you look at the mode, it do not quantifies each and every observation. It only considers, if you look here, For ungrouped data, it only consider this model and it do nothing else with other observation. So we cannot use it in inferential statistics. As you know nothing about the inferential statistics, so right now it's just a statement to tell you, and later on when I will going to discuss the inferential statistics, I will going to discuss in more detail. Is it clear, roll number 23? Okay, thank you. If you have any question, I will wait for you people for maybe a couple of minutes more, and then I will going to end the meeting. If you have any questions, just feel free to